host Smriti Kumar, and today I'm in conversation with the serial entrepreneur turned investor, Mr. Naganand Doraswamy. Naganand is the founder of Ideaspring Capital, and he's been actively supporting product innovation startups like Lavelle Networks. Thank you so much, Naganand, for talking to us today, and we look forward to learn a lot from you.
My pleasure, Smriti. Look forward to the conversation.
Yes. So, Naganand, I have read about you before talking to you, and I got to know 2 decades back you've written a book on networking, IPSec basically. So, definitely you have a lot in common with Lavelle Networks. So, I want to hear about your networking background and how you were associated with Lavelle Networks.
So, out of once I graduated in Bangalore, I was working for Process Systems India in their R&D labs where we were working on kernels and porting, Unix, AT&T Unix onto a 68030 based machine, and it was a lot of fun. I did that for a year. Then went to Virginia Tech for my undergrad. And post that, I was working in the US in various companies. Started off with Digital Equipment Corporation, where I was in the distributed system group, and then went to FTP Software, which was a company that was building stack and NFS servers for Windows platforms. In those days, this is in 93, 94, Windows didn't have a TCP IP stack. Okay. So FTP was building the TCP IP stack for Windows platforms. And that's where I got into networking as well, where we were building the TCP IP. And during that time, IPSec was just about starting. This is in 94, 95. And that's when we decided to do the first implementation of IPSec on the client stack. And that I implemented IPSec in those days. This is way back in 95, 96. Okay. And post that, I joined the Bay Architecture Lab. We were again working in next-gen networking and the architecture and aspects of it. And through that, a small group was formed to work on a core router. We worked on a core router with OC12 and OC48 interfaces and real hardcore routing and networking device. And that got me deeper and deeper into the networking. And during that time, also happened to write a book on IP security because I was fairly active in IT. I was working group chair in a couple of working groups, and I got a call from Printissol saying, "Do you want to write a book?" And obviously, was very excited to do that. And it's been, looking back, it's one of the best things I think I've done in my life. It gives a lot of gratification. And then I started as an early employer, a founding employee of a company called PhotonX, where we were building a 1.6 terabit long-haul optical transmission system, which was very, very challenging. It was good fun, lasted 4 years. But then the telecom implosion happened and, we had to close the startup. And then that's how, and then the journey continues. And now, after everything, finally decided to work with product innovation startups and start funding them, because I think in 2014, when I was thinking about it, I thought India was primed for that. There were not many investors giving money to very early stage product innovation companies. And I had a strong belief that that's where India should make a difference. And that's how we started a fund to just focus on product innovation. So we are one of the early funds that said we'll not do B2C, we'll just do B2B or B2B2C. And that's how this whole journey started. And then networking is near and dear to my heart. I've done it for a long period of time. But now, of course, it can't be just networking, but we look at enterprise products in general. But, anytime it's networking, obviously, have a better understanding. Although I must say that, networking has evolved quite a bit from where we were to where it is today. And it's always challenging. And it's good to, be on your feet and then keep learning along with the rest of the younger generation.
And very interestingly, your LinkedIn profile says technologist at heart, and that explains the way you started. That explains how much you love technology. So, talking about the investor that you are by profession and your journey with Lavelle Networks, how did you see the company grow from your association to now?
So the first time I met Shamal and Karthik early on. I know they were building something for the US market, but then but Shotel, that relationship didn't work out, and because Shotel had other ideas. But I thought they were working on something that stood well, where an SD-WAN was something where we knew things were going to evolve, and it was great to have that conversation with them. And obviously, both have very deep background in networking, and they come from Juniper and other products in the networking world. So it was quite impressed with them. And one of the thesis that we had was look for entrepreneurs who have deep experience in their specific domain and who understand their domain really well, but then help them with other aspects of the market, money and product positioning and global scale and so on and so forth. So Lavelle fit into that criteria really well, and really thought both Sham and Karthik had great passion in our discussions. Not only that, they had a deep understanding of the technology. So all these things came together, and we said, we got to work with these guys. We got to be part of this company, and that's how we got attracted to work with them. And since then, I think it is about 3.5 years since we invested, 3 to 3.5 years since we invested with them. I think the company has had a phenomenal ride in my mind, considering the fact that it's an Indian-based company where they run for a lot of big MNCs in India. I don't want to name names, but they are winning against the best of the best in the market, which is fabulous. Not only that, I think they have a couple of 2 or 3 customers where there are more than 1,000 nodes deployed, and that's a great validation of the product and the company. Yeah. And they have gotten very marquee customers, right? Whether it's ICICI Bank or Canara Bank or Flipkart across the domain. So in terms of the journey, I think it's phenomenal. But I always don't sit on the laurels. You always have to work harder and expand into other markets. And we are on track. I think the journey is good. It has been very exciting. We are on the right track. But it's not time to be complacent. We still have a lot of work to do. We still have to get other markets and add more capabilities, features, benefits, and so on and so forth. So far it has been awesome. But still looking forward to building a much bigger company along with the founders.
Same, exactly. I think that's a very good brief about how the journey with Lavelle Network happened. Naganand, you've seen the investment capital firms and the private equity, how the ecosystem works in India, right? So what are your views about the encouragement government provides in terms of the policies that are in place? What are your views around that, and how is it helping product-based startups?
So look, I think to be honest, product-based startups in India per se is still in its infancy, right? People understand B2C a lot better than B2B. But that said, I think things are changing the last 2 to 3 years, right? Because SaaS has become more prevalent. People are understanding the space better. There are examples now where we have built SaaS products from India. Freshworks is one, Zoho is other one, and there are a few others now really picking up. Right, current, you saw Postman doing really well. So I think we are slowly showing the world and the investment community in India that this is a good space to be in. So it is definitely the mood is upswing. So I am very cautiously optimistic that it will only get better because. To be honest, it is still challenging to raise money for product innovation startups in India. When I say product innovation, focus B2B or B2B2C, because fundamentally the market doesn't exist in India, right? If you look at the product market in India, it's still very, very small, right? Like NASSCOM survey said the total market now is 8 billion, out of which a lot of it is taken by an MNC. So the market for Indian startups in the product innovation space is still very small. And typically you don't invest if you don't have market, right? That's the key criteria. And I think government is also recognizing that there is a lot of effort underway to get the government to buy more from Indian startups. Not to say that you give, you can't buy from others, but at least a part of the contract has to be given to the Indian startups. So you kind of encourage the Indian ecosystem, right? And that is absolutely required. And the government is now doing that. To their credit, they are doing a lot of things. Now the GEM initiative has started, and they're saying that in large contracts, 20% has to be given to Indian startups if the quality is good. And I'm saying, there should not be any compromise on quality, right? We should stand shoulder to shoulder with the large MNCs in terms of the product stabilities, product capability, product quality. But considering all those things, we obviously don't have the same capability in terms of marketing and in terms of support and other things that has to be built. And that's where we need some amount of help to push us a little bit, and that's happening now. And that is very good because we all require it, and we know that's how all the ecosystems have been built. So government has to become a buyer, and the policies by the government has to be such that it must be easy to buy from startups. And we are seeing that trend emerging now. I think a lot of work work to be done even in that space. Make it a lot simpler, easier, and policies for the companies to stay in India and access to capital, a whole bunch of things. But very, very positive, very happy in the way things are evolving, and if it continues in this direction, in this path, I'm sure there'll be a lot more help for the product companies in India, and we will see a lot of it. And then recently there was another survey that says that okay, the SaaS market is some few $100 billion, right? So and obviously we should be able to capture a large part of that market, and there is definitely momentum towards that, and I hope it converts into good. It's beneficial for the startups in India.
Great. And if we talk about your association with firms like SIDBI, I want to know, is the funding system actually very conducive being associated closely with such government bodies?
Yeah. So I think one of the best things the government has done is this fund of funds, right? Because they recognize that it is hard for them to directly work with startups. So they have started this fund of funds, and Ideaspring has been a big beneficiary of that. And I'm extremely happy with what SIDBI has done. And they're very, very professional. And of course, they can deploy more capital, they can give more money to the funds. But it's a great start in my mind, and Ideaspring has significantly benefited from that. And like I said, a very professional set of folks, and all our dealings with them have been quite smooth. And we are very happy, and I think the government should do a lot more, and SIDBI also should look at dispensing more capital to funds so that they can see the deployment. But overall, a fabulous start, and I think it's one of the best things in my mind the government has done to encourage the startup ecosystem.
Great. Actually, that's very good to know about how conducive and how the policies are falling around innovation startups and encouraging the Indian startup companies that are coming up. So, as a closing,
See, look, this is all complex, right? Anything with the government is never easy. The intentions are there, but we have legacy, and we have to break the legacy and then look forward. So it is not going to be easy, but the great news there is the government is willing to listen, and they do talk to the industry quite a bit. They've opened up quite a bit. There are a lot of interactions with the industry, but we always believe the government can move a lot faster. But we will work with the government. As long as they're listening to us, it is our duty, and we have to be positive, and we have to work with them, which we are doing. And the government is doing their job because they can increase the pace of implementation. They can make ease of business a lot easier than what it is today. And there's a lot more work to be done, but we are partners with the government, and we cannot be on the sidelines complaining. We have to be in the field playing with the government.
Right. So I think that is a very good summary and gives us a little bit of understanding, although we are not from the investment space. Thank you so much, Naganand. But just as a closing note, can you talk a little bit more about where do you see Lavelle Networks growing and going? As you said, the way the different sectors, we have acquired customers, we are serving networks beyond 1,000 branches. So what do you see as something to vouch for Lavelle Networks?
So I think, look, Lavelle, they understand the technology really well, right? But at the same time, they have to have the market. There are a few emerging trends coming now, like work from home. How can Lavelle make it simpler for enterprises for people to work from home, to give the same level of security, to give the same level of quality of service, and so on and so forth? That is one area. Second one, which I recently discovered, like I said, it's an emerging trend, is the SASE that is coined by Gartner. What can Lavelle do in that direction? That is, and then what can we do to expand to markets outside of India, right? How do we build a great channel market? How do we enter in partnership with larger enterprises, right? I think there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done at this point of time. And then thankfully, we have a great set of investors also in Lavelle with, UNS being there, PV Jagdish being there, and a few others. So I think we have the right set of people working with the founders, and the team is great. But we have to be on our feet all the time. As being a startup, we have to be faster in getting the newer products to the market. We have to have a pulse of the market, and it's very, very challenging, right? Because you always have limitation on resources. You're always constrained, whether it is people, money, equipment, channels. So it's challenging, but the senior management team that the founders have built is very good. So very optimistic about where they can go, what they can do, but they have to be on their toes, and they have to stay focused. And then I think it's critical that we enter markets outside of India. It's just I don't believe fundamentally that Lavelle can just sustain by building products for India, or rather being in the Indian market, because product that is built in India can of course be deployed outside of India, but we have to go outside of India. And I think the plan is underway now. We are looking at how to expand into the Southeast Asian market, and we need to focus on that, and then get more customers in other geographies. And there are a few relationships that we are building with large enterprises that is going to be helpful.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Naganand. I think that gives us a very good direction and confidence that we are working with a person like you, who is himself a serial entrepreneur and an entrepreneur by choice, just like us. So I think this association will take us to places. And thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a good time as we had chatting with you.
No, great, Smriti. It was good, and wishing Lavelle all the best. And also not only Lavelle but the entire product innovation ecosystem. Flip and then make sure that we build great companies out of India. I'm sure Lavelle will be one of them. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.